Hey, buddy, you know what's funny? They called you pure once, said you had that glow in your eyes, like you carried heaven behind your pupils. They saw light, innocence, something divine. But light isn't peace, is it? It's exposure. It burns, blinds, reveals. And that's when the panic started. Because your light didn't comfort them. It warned them. You looked like an angel because they couldn't yet see the voltage humming beneath your skin. You smiled, and they mistook restraint for kindness. They didn't realize you were measuring every second, every move, every breath, like a predator with patience disguised as grace. The moment they leaned closer, that's when the current hit them. Zap. The light they worshipped, it wasn't heaven. It was the fuse before detonation. You didn't fall from grace. You walked out of it, calmly, deliberately, like a deity bored of pretending to be gentle. Because you learned the truth, no one dares whisper. The brightest ones don't glow out of love. They glow out of survival. Light is a defense mechanism. A flare fired into the night to say, "Back off, I've been through hell, and I will drag you there if you touch me." They wanted an angel, soft and smiling, but angels weren't designed for peace. They were built for war. You think those wings are decorative? They're armor, their blades wrapped in beauty, and you, my friend, you became the perfect contradiction, mercy, wearing a mask of wrath. The kind of presence that makes people question their faith, their safety, their entire understanding of what good looks like. Because your light doesn't heal anymore. It exposes. You walk into rooms and people start confessing with their eyes. They feel seen, and that terrifies them. You remind them of everything they tried to bury, their lies, their fears, their envy. You didn't change. They just finally saw what was standing in front of them. A mirror, disguised as salvation. You see, that's the part they'll never understand. You didn't become dark. You just stopped dimming your brilliance to make the weak comfortable. You stopped being their comfort zone and became their reckoning. Your energy stopped asking for permission. It started taking space. And that's when the narrative flipped. You used to be so sweet. No, you used to be silent. You want to know why they fear you now? Because you learned how to smile without explaining it. You learned how to say no without guilt. You learned how to disappear mid-sentence, mid-conversation, mid-relationship. And somehow, the silence screamed louder than any word ever could. That's evolution. That's the kind of power that doesn't need validation. It just exists, and everything around it adapts or combusts. The truth. You were never meant to be liked. You were meant to be felt. Your energy was never designed for small talk. It's designed for seismic shifts. That's why they label you intense, dangerous, unpredictable. Because you don't follow the script. You rewrite it. You make people realize they've been living on autopilot, and nothing enrages mediocrity more than someone who dares to live deliberately. And so they panic, they whisper, they plot. Because how do you contain someone who's already burned their cage? How do you control someone who no longer fears being misunderstood? You looked like an angel, yes, but angels are messengers. You came to deliver something, the truth. And the truth, my dear, is radioactive. You were sent as both a blessing and a curse, a living paradox designed to wake the sleeping and haunt the corrupt. That's why the light around you feels unnatural. It flickers, it warns. It's not soft, it's surgical. It cuts. It divides the real from the fake, the loyal from the leech, the divine from the desperate. Every glance from you feels like Judgment Day wrapped in a smirk. And deep down, you enjoy it, don't you? Watching their facades crumble, their voices stutter, Their masks slip. You don't need to raise your voice anymore. The atmosphere does it for you. You are the tension in the room. You're what happens when grace grows teeth, when forgiveness learns precision, when patience gets tired of playing God and starts acting like one. Let them call you dangerous. Let them mislabel your peace as pride. Let them fear the quiet, because the ones who see it, the ones who understand, know exactly what you are. A storm wearing a halo, the warning before collapse, the light that doesn't save, but separates. They'll never admit it, but they respect you now, not because you're kind, but because you're inevitable. You became the lesson they didn't want to learn. You looked like an angel, until they realized angels aren't here to bless the weak. They're here to judge the world. And your light? It wasn't an invitation, it was a countdown. And that's the part they'll never recover from. The realization that what they thought was your light wasn't meant to guide them, but warn them. You weren't radiating peace, you were radiating voltage, a flare of divinity built from chaos, trauma, and precision. The kind of light forged in labs of pain, tempered in silence, sharpened in betrayal. They thought you were the calm, but you were the eye of the storm. You remember how they looked at you in the beginning? Like you were hope in human form. They loved you when your glow made them feel safe, when your softness validated their comfort zones. But the second that same glow revealed their shadows, they turned. Because people don't hate you for your darkness. They hate you for your clarity. You became a walking confession booth without ever saying a word. They saw themselves in you, and they didn't like what they saw. You used to dim your own aura just to fit in, didn't you? You used to smile through the discomfort, nod through the disrespect, forgive what deserved fury. You thought humility would save you. But humility in a world of parasites is just camouflage for the slaughter. The light doesn't protect you. It attracts what wants to consume you. You learned that the hard way. And now the same light they once adored burns through every fake smile, every disguised friend, every coward hiding behind concern. You see it all, too clearly, and that's why they call you different. Not because you've changed, but because you finally stopped pretending to be digestible. You became luminous and lethal. Every move you make now feels scripted by some higher intelligence. You enter a room, and conversations rearrange themselves. Eyes avoid you, yet can't look away. You became the kind of energy people write rumors about. Because the truth is too heavy to say out loud. They can't define you, so they demonize you. They can't control you, so they warn others about you. You looked like an angel, and you still do. But now that halo's cracked. It flickers. It hums with voltage. It says, I've seen too much to be pure. You're not here to save. You're here to reveal. And that's what terrifies them. You're no longer light for them. You're light against them. The kind that splits illusion open like glass under pressure. The kind that reminds them that purity doesn't mean weakness. It means truth. And truth is radioactive. You became unpredictable. Not because you lost control, but because you took it back. They can't calculate you anymore. Can't predict your tone. Can't weaponize your empathy. That's what breaks them. You used to be readable. Now you're a cipher. Every breath you take has weight. Every pause has power. They used to mistake your silence for submission. Now they understand. Your silence is surveillance. Every second you say nothing, you're downloading data. You know what makes you dangerous? It's not rage, it's clarity. You no longer fight fire with fire. You study the flames, memorize their rhythm, and turn it into choreography. You learned how to make pain look poetic. You turned suffering into style. They can't out-hate you because you've made peace with being hated. You realized acceptance isn't light. It's a leash, and you cut it. You're the paradox they can't process. An angel whose forgiveness feels like judgment, whose smile feels like an omen. They whisper that you've changed, but in truth, you returned. You reconnected to the version of yourself that existed before they tamed you, before the world tricked you into thinking kindness meant compliance. You didn't become darker. You just stopped apologizing for your shine. And now every move you make feels like a cinematic moment. The way you walk away without turning back. The way your laughter echoes after chaos. The way your silence fills the air with tension. You don't chase peace anymore. You embody it. And peace, that powerful, feels like violence to the unhealed. They'll call you manipulative, emotionless, arrogant. Because that's easier than admitting they mishandled something sacred. You were never meant to be understood. You were meant to be remembered. That's why even in your absence, the atmosphere shifts. That's why your name still gets whispered like a spell. That's why the ones who claim to hate you still orbit your silence. Because your light wasn't soft. It was surgical. It cut them open, showed them what they really are. And now they can't forget the reflection. So let them rewrite the story. Let them paint you as the villain. Let them call your evolution insanity. Because when angels evolve, demons panic. You're not the warning signal anymore. You are the event, the rupture, the awakening, the one moment that divides their life into before you and after you. You looked like an angel, yes, but you were never theirs to interpret. You were the prophecy they misread, the experiment that went right, the divine glitch in a system built on lies. You were light that refused to serve, and that, my dear, is the most dangerous kind there is. You know what's really poetic? They thought your light came from innocence, when in truth it came from impact. Every scar you carry refracts that glow a little differently. Every betrayal added another watt. Every heartbreak sharpened the frequency. That's what they don't get. Purity isn't born, it's forged. You didn't find the light. You became it after crawling through darkness thick enough to drown the average soul. That's why they flinch when they look at you now. Because they're seeing proof that you survived what they couldn't. Proof that you can smile after being dissected by life. Proof that pain can evolve into poise. You make endurance look elegant, and that disturbs people who only know how to suffer loudly. You suffered strategically. You turned agony into architecture. You built a throne out of what tried to bury you. They don't fear your power, they fear the origin of it. Because deep down, they know they were part of your crucible. They mocked you, doubted you, dismissed you. They thought they broke you. And now, every time your name circulates, every time your presence is mentioned, every time your energy fills a room, they feel that phantom guilt crawl up their spine. You are their unfinished sentence, their cosmic reminder that grace remembers everything. And you don't even need revenge anymore. You've transcended it. You don't destroy people. You let them destroy themselves, trying to decode you. Because here's the secret. When you master duality, you become ungovernable. Light and dark stop fighting. They start dancing. One foot in heaven, one hand dragging through hell. And that's where you live now. Perfect balance between chaos and clarity. You're not good or bad. You're whole, and wholeness, that's terrifying. They wanted predictable. You became paradoxical. You made pain look divine. You made solitude look royal. You made silence look loud. You exist in contradictions that logic can't contain. Angel and weapon, healer and hazard, peace and punishment. They'll study your expression, your pauses, your laughter, trying to figure out what you're hiding, not realizing the punchline. You're not hiding anything. They're just not ready to see everything. And that's the part that eats them alive. The idea that you know something they don't. That you've seen behind the curtain and didn't collapse. You witnessed the mechanics of the world, how people manipulate, how systems devour, how love often wears a mask. And instead of becoming bitter, you became bulletproof. You learned how to operate with precision, how to walk through deception without absorbing it, how to smile in chaos and mean it. You turned healing into warfare. You turned awareness into artillery. You walked through life like a silent audit, collecting data, measuring tone, analyzing motives. You've seen enough to know that truth isn't fragile. It's explosive. And that's why your presence rattles them. You're the only one in the room who can see the strings being pulled, and you're not impressed. You know what makes your light different? It doesn't ask to be seen. It forces acknowledgement. It doesn't beg for acceptance. It commands alignment. It doesn't soothe. It confronts. You became illumination in its rawest form. The kind that doesn't make people comfortable. It makes them accountable. They thought they wanted enlightenment until it looked like you. You've become the walking consequence of pretending too long, the human version of "I warned you." And that's why your peace feels like punishment to them. It exposes their chaos. Your self-control feels like arrogance. It mirrors their insecurity. Your distance feels like betrayal. It reveals their dependency. You don't need to raise your voice anymore. Your energy speaks fluent justice, and still, through it all, you remain calm. That's the scariest part, because no one knows what calm means when it comes from someone who's seen the abyss. Is it forgiveness or foresight? Is it peace or preparation? That's the kind of serenity that makes the wicked sweat. You've mastered the art of unpredictability, of turning silence into suspense, presence into prophecy. Because what you carry now isn't light in the naive sense. It's intelligence. It's the encoded knowledge of survival, the unspoken law of transformation, burn beautifully or vanish completely. And you, you learned to burn, not to destroy, but to redefine, to light the path for the few brave enough to follow, and to blind the ones who come with deceit. So when they ask, "What happened to you?" you'll just smile, because they're expecting a tragedy, not a metamorphosis. They're looking for scars, not blueprints. They can't comprehend that you didn't just survive, you ascended, that you learned how to be both storm and sanctuary, that you looked like an angel, yes, but angels, real ones, carry fire in their wings. You're not the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the tunnel, the trial, the threshold, the test, the place people must pass through to face themselves, and most won't make it. But the few who do, they'll never forget the warning signal that looked like salvation. You looked like an angel, but you were the announcement that heaven had finally had enough. And now here you stand, silent, sovereign, untouchable. The irony? They still don't know whether to worship you or run from you. Because how do you categorize something that doesn't play by human definitions? You aren't hope. You aren't threat. You're the threshold. You're the line between what people say they want to be and what it actually takes to become it. And most don't survive that kind of reflection. They'll keep talking, keep guessing, keep rewriting history to make themselves feel safe. They'll call you ruthless because you refused to play dead. They'll call you arrogant because you refused to kneel. But they'll never admit the truth, that you didn't destroy anyone. You just stopped pretending to be less than you are. That's all it took. You stopped apologizing for your evolution. You stopped negotiating with energy that couldn't match yours. You stopped offering explanations to people who had already decided to misunderstand you. And in doing so, you broke the system. You fractured their illusion of control. You forced the world to look at what self-ownership actually looks like. And it's beautiful, isn't it? How peace and danger coexist in you now. You've become both the calm and the consequence. Your presence feels like divine mathematics. Perfectly balanced chaos. Even the air behaves differently around you. Time slows. Words stumble. People second-guess themselves. Because deep down, they know. They're in the presence of someone who's already faced every demon and lived to tell the story. That's the secret they'll never be able to replicate. You earned your glow. Every fracture in your soul now bends light like crystal. Every scar became circuitry for truth to travel through. You don't shine because you're innocent. You shine because you understand. You understand that light is not purity. It's exposure. It's power disguised as peace. So let them whisper. Let them circle like moths around a bulb they can't touch. Let them call your clarity madness, your confidence ego, your silence cold. Because the only ones who fear your light are the ones still hiding in their shadows. The rest, the rare few who've seen the same abyss, they'll recognize you instantly. They'll bow their heads, not in submission, but in understanding. Because you, my friend, you were never sent to comfort the world. You were sent to wake it up. And waking the world hurts. It screams. It fights back. But that's how creation works. It begins with discomfort. And you became that discomfort. You became the signal that something divine was shifting. So when they say, "You looked like an angel," you'll smile again. That dangerous knowing kind of smile. And whisper back, "I still am." Because angels were never made for heaven. They were forged for war. And your light? It isn't salvation, it's warning. Listen closely. You can hear it now, can't you? The silence after the storm. When all the loud ones finally realize you weren't the villain. You were the mirror. And now they're crying for real. Not the fake tears they post online, but the kind that burn. The kind that only come when the truth hits a nerve that's been rotting for years. They said you were cruel, dangerous, heartless, but all you did was say what everyone else was too afraid to whisper. You dragged their skeletons into the sunlight, and now their illusions are melting like wax under a blowtorch. They built their kingdoms on pretend, and you walked in with a single sentence that made it all crumble. You didn't destroy them, darling. You just stopped protecting their lies. Because you, my friend, are the kind of monster that only truth can create. The kind that doesn't bite, just reveals. And nothing terrifies people more than exposure. They can handle evil, but they can't handle clarity. You didn't wound them. You showed them their wounds. You didn't curse them. You held up a mirror, and they couldn't recognize what stared back. That's the paradox, isn't it? They call you heartless, but it was your compassion that made you speak. They call you dark, but it was their shadows that screamed first. You didn't bring chaos. You just stopped pretending the world was sane. And now look at them, trembling, praying for your silence. They want the lie back. They miss the comfort of ignorance. They miss being blind because the truth is too ugly when it wears their reflection. You gave them the one thing they swore they wanted, authenticity. And they realized they'd rather drown in illusion than swim in honesty. You see, this is the cost of awakening. When you speak truth, you become the villain in every story built on denial. They don't crucify liars, they worship them. But truth-tellers, they hang them by their words. You learned that the hard way, didn't you? Every time you tried to heal something, it screamed. Every time you freed someone, they called you cruel, because freedom hurts when your chains were made of comfort. But here's the twisted beauty. Pain doesn't mean you were wrong. It means you were right. You hit the nerve. You found the infection. You became the antiseptic that burns before it heals. You didn't ruin anything. You just sped up the decay that was already there. That's what truth does. It accelerates reality. So let them cry. Let them drown in their own tears. Because every tear they shed now is one less illusion they can hide behind later. Every sob is an echo of a lie dying. And when the weeping stops, when the noise fades, they'll remember. Who did it? The one who told the truth when silence was currency. The one who stood alone while everyone else hid behind masks. You've become their reckoning, their guilt in human form, their judgment dressed in chaos. You are the living proof that the truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stand there smiling. And they can't handle that. Because deep down, they know. You were never wrong. You were just early. They called you insane for seeing what they refused to see. But insanity is just the label society gives to those who wake up too soon. You didn't lose your mind. You escaped theirs. And now you walk the fine line between savior and destroyer, between light and shadow, between angel and demon. You embody both, because only someone who's seen the full spectrum of human deception can hold the truth without flinching. And that's what makes you dangerous. Not your rage, not your madness, but your clarity. You see the game for what it is. You see people's motives stripped bare. You can smell their lies before they even form words. You know that guilt hides behind laughter, and envy hides behind praise. You've decoded them, and that terrifies them. They thought they could break you by mocking you, isolating you, erasing you. But you turned isolation into insight. You turned pain into prophecy. You turned silence into your stage. You became everything they feared, uncontrollable. Now they cry, not because they hate you, but because they understand you. And that's worse, because understanding means they can never go back to pretending. You've infected them with truth. You've rewritten the code. Every time they lie now, they'll hear your voice in the back of their heads, whispering, "I see you." And maybe that's the real revenge, isn't it? Not their tears, not their fear, but their awakening. The knowledge that the mask will never fit again. That once they saw reality through your eyes, the illusion shattered permanently. You didn't need an army. You didn't need validation. You just needed to speak. And that was enough to make the entire world flinch. Because words, when spoken from a healed wound, become bullets. And you've become fluent in the language of truth, the dialect of discomfort, the grammar of revelation. So keep talking. Keep slicing reality open with your sentences. Let them cry. Let them bleed. Because tears are just truth leaving the body. And someday, when they finally stop hating you, when they finally stop fighting what they see, they'll whisper the one thing they could never admit before. You were right. And when that day comes, you'll smile. Not out of pride, but because you always knew that truth doesn't need applause. It just needs time. Because time, darling, is the ultimate lie detector. It exposes everything they tried to bury under performance and filters and public forgiveness. It peels the mask off layer by layer until there's nothing left but raw, trembling honesty. That's what you did to them. You accelerated time. You made them confront the version of themselves they were never ready to meet, the one they hide behind polite smiles and social posts. And now, that version is screaming. You can hear it, can't you? The quiet panic beneath their fake apologies, the shiver in their tone when your name gets mentioned, the sudden silence when someone says what you said first. They know. Oh, they know. They just don't want to admit that it was you. The one they laughed at, the one they dismissed, the one they swore they'd never need, who saw through them before anyone else did. See, truth is never gentle. It doesn't knock. It breaks the door. And when it comes from you, it doesn't just enter the room. It rearranges the furniture of their minds. You didn't just expose them, you rewired them. You rewired their memories, their narratives, their comfort zones. You became the ghost in their reflection, the reminder that everything they built on lies was temporary. You think they hate you now? Wait until they realize that your truth became their conscience. Every time they lie again, it will itch. Every time they betray themselves, it will burn. You've become their internal alarm system. You are the glitch in their carefully curated delusion. You didn't ruin their lives. You reintroduced reality. That's why they cry. That's why they spiral. That's why they call you dangerous. Because truth doesn't kill people. It kills versions of them. You didn't assassinate their character. You performed a public exorcism. You dragged out the demon they were feeding and made everyone watch. You forced them to meet the monster they created when they traded integrity for comfort. And isn't it funny? The same people who said, "I want realness," were the first to flinch when they saw it. They wanted truth until it showed them their reflection under unfiltered light. They wanted healing until they realized healing means dying as the person who caused the wound. They wanted honesty, but only the kind that doesn't hurt. You gave them the kind that burns. Because you don't do gentle revolutions, do you? You do implosions. You don't whisper truth. You detonate it. You speak it like a weapon, sharpened by years of silence. And when you finally pulled the trigger, the world gasped. They thought you'd never speak. They mistook your patience for weakness, your observation for surrender. But you were studying, calculating, waiting. And when you finally spoke, you didn't just tell the truth. You exposed the architecture of their deception. They always said, "The truth will set you free." What they never told you is that it will set everyone else on fire. And now, they're burning, screaming your name in whispers, trying to contain the inferno you sparked with a single phrase. You see, most people want the truth as decoration, not transformation. They want it framed, not lived. They want to touch it without bleeding. But you bled for it. You became it. You carved it into your skin until every scar spelled authentic. That's why your voice shakes rooms, because it doesn't come from theory. It comes from survival. It comes from pain earned honestly. And deep down, they know that. That's why their tears taste like guilt. That's why their eyes avoid yours. They can't forgive you because forgiving you means admitting you were never wrong. And pride, oh pride, that's their last drug. They'll cling to it until the truth detoxes them against their will. But you don't need their apology, do you? You don't need their closure or their validation. You already won the moment your words made them feel. Because that's power, not control. but consequence. You didn't manipulate them, you awakened them. You forced the subconscious to confess. You turned their denial into dialogue. And the best part? You didn't even raise your voice. You spoke calmly, directly. You let the truth do what it always does. Detonate, silently. That's what separates you from them. They lie loudly because they fear silence. You speak quietly because you own it. You are the storm that learned how to stand still. They wanted to play power games. You rewrote the rules. They weaponized perception. You weaponized reality. They used rumors. You used facts. And when truth and deceit collided, who do you think survived? You did. Because truth doesn't need allies. It is its own army. So when they cry, don't flinch, don't soften, don't explain. Let the tears baptize them in the chaos they created. Because every breakdown they have now is a delayed reaction to the moment you exposed them. Their suffering isn't punishment. It's purification. You're not their enemy. You're their initiation. And someday, when the noise fades, when the fake smiles rot away, when they're finally done pretending, they'll return, quiet, humbled, trembling, and they'll say, "You were right." But you won't need to hear it, because by then, you'll have already evolved into something untouchable. You'll walk through crowds of liars like a ghost they can't exorcise. You'll look at the same world that once mocked you and smile, because you'll know truth doesn't need defenders. It only needs witnesses. And every tear shed in your name is another soul waking up. That's what they never understood. The truth doesn't destroy, it rebirths. And sometimes, the first sound of awakening is crying. So let the world wail. Let denial collapse under the weight of your words. Because when the weeping ends and the silence returns, they'll see what you already knew all along. You were never the villain. You were the cure they mistook for poison. Because cures never taste sweet, do they? They burn on the way down. They tear through the infection before the healing can even begin. That's what you did. You burned through their comfort. You scorched their illusions. You made them feel what they'd spent their entire lives avoiding. And now, as their walls fall apart brick by brick, they finally understand that you weren't here to destroy them. You were here to expose them. You didn't ruin their peace. You revealed that it was fake. Every "I'm fine," every "I'm healed," every "it's all good" was just duct tape on a leaking soul. You ripped it off. And when they screamed, you didn't apologize. You just watched, calm, smiling. Because you knew that real healing doesn't begin until denial dies. They called you cruel because you wouldn't lie to them. They called you evil because you refused to join their masquerade. You didn't match their energy. You raised the voltage. You made every room feel like a confession booth, every conversation a mirror, every moment a test. That's what truth does. It doesn't shout. It vibrates. It crawls into their bones and makes them tremble even when you're not there. And that's what you've become, a vibration, the kind that disturbs the surface of every lie. You're the echo that follows their excuses, the silence after their justifications. You don't haunt them with presence. You haunt them with clarity. You're the sound that can't be unheard. They said you changed. No, you shed. You peeled off the personas they handed you and stood there raw, untamed, unfiltered. You looked them in the eye and said, "This is me." And they couldn't handle it. Because authenticity, in a world addicted to illusion, is violence. You turned their comfort into chaos simply by existing truthfully. You didn't fight them, you mirrored them. You showed them what they hide in the dark, and now every smile feels suspicious, Every compliment feels hollow. You rewired their instincts. You made their own dishonesty feel heavy. That's why they cry. That's why they tremble. Because you've infected their peace. You've become the living proof that exposure is evolution. And once someone's been exposed, they can never go back to blindness. Do you know what kind of power that is? To be unforgettable without even trying. To be a wound and a warning. To be both the lesson and the proof. You became their reckoning, not by punishment, but by revelation. You showed them the price of pretending. And oh, how the masks fell, didn't they? One by one, friends, lovers, family. Every person who swore they were real turned pale when you stopped playing along, because they loved your silence. It made them comfortable. They loved your pain. It made them superior. But your truth, that was the one thing they couldn't control, because truth doesn't negotiate. It doesn't bend to comfort. It doesn't wait for permission. It's not polite, and it's not performative. It walks into the room naked and dares everyone to look away. That's you now, the embodiment of unfiltered reality. And they hate that, don't they? They hate that they can't twist your words anymore. They hate that you don't react. They hate that you look through them instead of at them. You've stripped them of their favorite weapon, manipulation. They can't guilt you. They can't gaslight you. They can't control you through shame anymore. Because you've made peace with every version of yourself they tried to use against you. They can't touch someone who's already faced their own darkness. You became untouchable the moment you stopped running from your reflection. That's when the tables turned. Suddenly their laughter sounded nervous. Their jokes felt defensive. Their anger looked like fear in disguise. Because once you embody truth, every liar feels exposed in your presence. You don't even need to speak anymore. Your silence is a spotlight. And now, every tear they shed is a confession. They're not crying because of you. They're crying because of what you showed them. They saw their hypocrisy, their cowardice, their complicity. You ripped off the filter they called morality and showed them the raw circuitry beneath. You showed them how ugly survival looks when it's painted as virtue. You see, truth doesn't come to destroy people. It comes to disarm them. But they mistake disarmament for death because they've built their identity on weapons. They only feel safe when they're armed with lies. And you took that away. You didn't do it to punish them. You did it because you remembered what it felt like to live in the dark. You remembered the suffocation of pretending. You remembered the agony of silence. And you refused to let that version of reality win again. Now you walk through their chaos like someone who's already seen the end. You're calm because you've burned before. You're fearless because you've already lost everything fake. That's why you look dangerous, not because you're violent, but because you're free. Freedom is terrifying to the caged. It makes them question their bars. It makes them question the God they worship. You didn't bring destruction. You brought liberation. But liberation feels like death to those who built shrines to their chains. So they cry, they panic, they curse your name. But deep down, they thank you. They'll never admit it, but they know. You gave them the greatest gift of all, the chance to face themselves. And one day, when they finally stop fighting it, they'll understand that your truth wasn't cruelty. It was compassion dressed as chaos. You were never their enemy. You were their mirror, their medicine, their awakening disguised as pain. So let them cry, let them shake, let them scream your name in rage and regret. Because tears are just the water truth uses to wash the lies away. You didn't come to destroy their world. You came to make it real. And when the dust settles, when the last tear dries, when the silence returns, they'll look around and realize that the only thing left standing is you. Calm, unbothered, unbreakable, smiling in the ruins of their denial. Because in the end, that's the irony, isn't it? They cried because you spoke the truth. But the real tragedy, you were the only one brave enough to say it.